I was in row 9, kind of on the right-hand side. I was glad when I was seated to the right. And my seatmate and his wife, well, they happen to be two of my close friends, Craig Shirley, renowned Reagan biographer, and Zorin, his wonderful wife. Craig's books, of course, Rendezvous with Destiny, Reagan's Revolution, December 1941, which is fabulous, and Last Act, the final year and emerging legacy of Reagan, just about to come out. It was a pleasure to be there with Craig last night, and he joins us now. Craig Shirley. How much sleep did you get last night, sweetie?
I don't know.
Did you get a couple hours?
I'm still on East Coast time, so I don't even know what time it is now.
Yeah, good.
But I'm nursing bruised ribs because you kept elbowing me all night.
Well, no, Craig, this is Craig. Okay, during the debate. This is Craig. I think he missed an opportunity here. I said, shh. He's like, then this is Craig following. Do I have a loud voice? I said, yes. Shh. Quiet. And I think some of the Jeb supporters behind us were like kicking me under the, I felt a toe in my lower back several times during that. I think, oh, excuse me, like they didn't mean it. It was fun to sit next to you, though, but that was it. First of all, let's all just say one thing. We can disagree or agree on who did better and all that, but it was too long. This was too long and too many people on stage. There's too many people.
Better formulation. They have to buy a better formulation. A. B is I can't say enough about the class and style and graciousness of the Reagan Library. They do everything first class. I mean, Fred
absolutely. Like Reagan.
John Highbush. Yeah, exactly. Precisely. This is the people who work at the Reagan Library and run the Reagan Library are just like Ronald Reagan, and they're just grace and style and class. Mm-hmm. I just can't say enough about them.
Hotter than hell.
Overall, I would say the candidates were better than the questions.
Yeah. Tell us about that exchange. Let's get specific, then we'll get general. That exchange with Donald Trump, I think a lot of people in the room thought, oh, Jeb really got the best of him. I'm not sure now looking online at people's comments, but I'm not sure that room was pretty elite. There were a lot of elites in that room.
Right.
A lot of big money people in that room last night.
Right.
I'm not sure that room was representative of the way most of America felt at the end of that debate.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a prolonged applause when he mentioned his brother, but I don't know if that was really that he kept us safe or was just respectful, because Republicans tend to be respectful. If somebody had invoked Theodore Roosevelt, or Dwight Eisenhower, there probably would have been a respectful round of applause too. I think that it's just the style of Republicans to not, treat their defeated or retired politicians, throw them out with dirty water or whatever. So I'm not so sure that was indicative of the ideology, more of his just respect for his for him trying to do his. But he said, Jeb Bush said, he kept us safe. Yes, he kept us safe, but after 9/11.
Right. I mean, I think there are a lot of people in the country who obviously turned against George Bush.
Yes.
I mean, they felt like we lost actually thousands of people on 9/11. I'm not blaming Bush. I'm just saying this is the way a lot of people feel. Lost all those people on 9/11. Then we got into two wars that started to go south. Maybe the surge turned things around somewhat, but we spent $2 trillion, and now the Middle East is in a disaster because we elected Obama after Bush, and he went to town on liberalism.
How much political capital was needlessly expended trying to privatize Social Security, when even the hedge fund managers and Wall Street says we can't handle $1 and $2 contributions. That's not how we work. After his re-election in 2004, he spent 6 months trying to privatize Social Security, and then finally gave up.
Let's talk about, because Reagan's legacy loomed large last night, who do you think best embodied what made Reagan great last night as a speaker and as someone who would deliver remarks that hit home? Who was it?
I would say none of them and all of them. None of them in Reagan in the whole, all of them Reagan in the part. I thought that the single best line about understanding about Reagan's philosophy of the individual over the state was expressed by Mike Huckabee halfway through the debate. When he said, we have to talk about, what this guy was. And he didn't go around, saying he was great. He went around saying we were great. And that's exactly right. That's how he closed the 1980 debate debate with Jimmy Carter by expressing his admiration and gratitude. You know, you made this country great, and you can do it again. He didn't talk about himself. He didn't. You know, he used the Catholic we, us, and ours instead of the Protestant I, me, and my, and that came from his father, who gave him a Catholic or a parish perspective. So Mike Huckabee did, I think, express the single best understanding of Reagan last night, but also Chris Christie, when he, you know, tried to get the debate off of the Trump versus Fiorina, you know, tit for tat, and onto what was more important, which were the issues facing the American people. So I would say those two. Fiorina had flashes of Reaganism. All of them did. Even Trump, you know, in his anger, because Reagan was sometimes an angry politician. His 1964 speech for Goldwater was famously angry.
Let's go to Fiorina on Planned Parenthood, which I think went down as one of the best moments in the debate. Let's listen.
Anyone who has watched this videotape, I dare Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama to watch these tapes. Watch a fully formed fetus on the table, its heart beating, its legs kicking, while someone says we have to keep it alive to harvest its brain. This is about the character of our nation. And if we will not stand up and force President Obama to veto this bill, shame on us.
That was about the line that, oh, will you shut down the government, which I think Kasich fell right into that trap, and I don't think he did himself any favors last night.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he gave the standard response. Yes, I hate Planned Parenthood. No, we're not going to shut down the government. Instead of looking at it a third way, which is what Reagan always did. Reagan always looked at it a third way, and that moment by Fiorina was evocative of you know, Reagan, you know, often challenging his Democratic opponents to do things they were unwilling to do.
There was a moment in the debate, or a couple of moments, where I wished I was sitting in a bar somewhere in, like, Kentucky or, I don't know, Kentucky or in Texas, where both Jeb and Marco were
They get their news in Spanish. I want them to hear that directly from me, not from a translator at Univision.
Well,
it's very chic, and it's very chic, and it's very socially acceptable, but it's really beside the point.
Well, explain why the average person out there who, as we saw from this latest Census Bureau labor report, actually wages declining for native-born Americans, why that would be not appealing to them.
Well, because it's not central to their lives. It's not germane to their lives. Is that everybody speaks English. English is actually the official language of commercial and civilian airline pilots around the world, because the only two countries flying planes after World War II were Great Britain and the United States, and so English became the official language. So if you're a Saudi pilot, you speak English. If you're an Israeli pilot or if you're a Pakistani pilot, when you're in the air, you speak English. So English is a common language. English is the universal language, and it stands to reason English should be the official language of the United States. I mean, we're so past, you know, the rationale of the debate. It seems like it's silly to even talk about, you know, should we speak Spanish or should we speak Swahili or something else? Right.
Again, it's a sense that we're almost moving into this post-American phase, and I don't want to make too much of Jeb saying that Margaret Thatcher should be on the $10 bill. I mean, you kind of thought that was fine. I mean, I met Margaret Thatcher, love Margaret Thatcher, but you can't come up with an answer to any person on the $10 bill, or just say it shouldn't be changed, which is the correct answer.
Yeah, right. It shouldn't be changed.
And so we have to go to another country to get someone. To me, that's almost worse than Donald Trump not knowing anything about these foreign leaders. I mean, just say Barbara Bush. If you get in the jam, just say Barbara Bush.
Well, it was an attempt, let's face it, to pander to conservatives throwing out Margaret Thatcher. I thought, you know, actually Chris Christie had the best answer, which was Abigail Adams. If you're going to change the bill, which I'm opposed to, but if you're going to change it and you're looking for a great American woman who actually changed the course of the nation, even more than Sacagawea or something like that, is that a great argument can be made for Abigail Adams.
So I kept delaying going into...
I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No,
I was going to say Mike Huckabee probably had the funniest line though, was to put his wife on the $20 bill.
But I think all of that gets a little too cute by half after a while. I mean,
yes.
Okay, my wife is most beautiful. Apologize to Columba, Mr. Oh, get out of town. I mean, apologize to Columba. What is that? Like,
you can't go out there and say, "Oh, my wife," and then somebody points out that says, "Well, your wife," and then say, "Oh, I'm offended. I've been, you owe my wife an apology." No, you put her out there to be discussed and debated on.
So I was saying earlier that I kept delaying going into the debate last night, as Craig knows very well. I kept delaying. I didn't go to the first debate because all these people should drop out, and I'm just sick of it. I'm sorry. I'm tired of all these people who are running for president who will never become president, and they're just, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if it's a major ego trip or they're just bored. But the presidency is not a GOP employment program, okay? Running for the presidency is serious business for serious people, and the whole first debate, I'm sorry, I can't do that. So I delayed even almost getting into the second debate because I started walking through the library, which I frankly should have been doing the whole time, but I guess they didn't let you kind of peruse the library ahead of time. But
right.
I kept delaying, just stopping at the various exhibits that I had seen before, but I don't know, they just seemed new to me last night.
It's so compelling. There's so many facets to Reagan's life. I mean, he was a Renaissance man because he was so successful at so many different careers. As a radio broadcaster, as a in high school and college, as a movie star, as a governor, as a public speaker, as a radio broadcaster, as a president. Because he was not one-dimensional at all.
No, anyway, so I stopped and the docent working at the library was saying, "We got to go. There's a big line to get into the debate. We got to go." I said, "Let me just give me one more minute." And so I stopped. This is where the typical girl kicks in, and just not the radio host, television commentator, writer. A typical girl. I stop at Reagan in college in his football uniform.
Yeah.
That picture, which I just tweeted out, by the way. I go to the Ingraham angle on Twitter. Oh, my God. He was just drop dead gorgeous. He was just so handsome and so – something about that one photo that I just tweeted out, I just stopped and stared at it. And I'm like, let's just win one for the giver.
He always said the best job he ever had was washing dishes in the girls' fraternity at Eureka.
Well, this is just the girl in me and the conservative who worked for Reagan. I just kept I stopped at the Reykjavik exhibit. I stopped at the football exhibit with his Letterman sweater. I stopped at the where they have all the photos of Chernyenko and the Ayatollah and all the foes of America. Stopped at that. And I was, oh my gosh, I'm just going to miss the entire debate if I don't get in there. And so I walk and I finally get in. And it's hotter than hell in there. I mean, it was most beautiful. It was like 100 degrees. I was dying.
Don't sugarcoat it. What do you really think, Laura?
It was hotter than hell. I'm sorry. It was beautiful, and I loved. I mean, there's no place I love more than the Reagan Library, but it was hotter than hell. So I get in there, and Craig looks at me. He's like, "Where have you been?" It's like, "Huh?" I was walking around. I said a prayer at Reagan's gravesite, and I brought Drew over there to see it. And then I just was wandering around the library. And then I came when the opening statements were, just about wrapping up, and that was fine by me. So,
it is a tough choice given CNN's questions. Is that were you going to learn more from the debate last night? From 11 or 17 or whatever, very intelligent, very capable, very successful people who were asked underwhelming questions, underpowered questions, or would you learn more from touring the Reagan Library about conservatism? And I would argue you would learn more from touring the Reagan Library about conservatism than you would last night from the debate.
Craig, Shirley, great to talk to you, as always. Look forward to your new book, Last Act, just about out. We're going to have Craig on for a big extravaganza, give away some copies of his books coming up.
Yes, I'm going to the doctor now to repair my bruised ribs.
Okay. Well, I was elbowing you because you were talking so loudly during the debate. We were going to be thrown out. We were honestly going to be thrown out of that debate afterward. All right. Craig, thanks so much.